my political involvement dates back to when I was at the University of Texas and rang doorbells for President Eisenhower. And then when I moved to Dallas, early on in the late 50s, I became a precinct chairman. And I worked my way on up, and I was organization chairman for the state party 3 different times. I served on the National Federation of Republican Women's Board and became a Republican National Committee woman from Texas. Women have become an important part of Texas politics, not only as behind-the-scene volunteers, but as candidates. Well, being First Lady was a very, very special privilege. There were a lot of really fun things about it. To me, it was very challenging because I could pursue my interests that I'd had, my volunteer interests. I mainly emphasized during Bill's first term the 3 areas of historic preservation and education and volunteerism. And we had a governor's office on volunteer services, and one of the most enjoyable things I did each year was recognize outstanding volunteers from around our state. And then during his second term, I added as a major project tourism. Well, I certainly think that probably the restoration of the governor's mansion will always be considered my biggest legacy as First Lady of Texas. When we moved in during Bill's first term, we both saw that it did need restoring. Both the building and the furnishings needed to be upgraded and made more appropriate to the period of when the mansion was built. And having visited other mansions around the country, I'll have to say that we really have an outstanding mansion here in Texas. So I think it was very important to restore it to its former grandeur. Well, I certainly have watched the growth of the Republican Party in Texas, because when I moved down here at age 10 to Brady, Texas, the first presidential election that my parents voted in, they voted for the Republican candidate for president, and everybody said, please don't mention it because nobody votes Republican in McCulloch County, rural Texas. I'd say that Republican Party has come a long way. It's come a long way since Bill was governor compared to George W. Bush being governor. When Bill was governor, both the House and the Senate were highly Democrat, and now we have a majority in our Senate, and we're nearing a majority in the House. Well, I think the push for me wanting to help others and to become involved in volunteerism certainly began when I was growing up with my family. And it continued when I was at the University of Texas. I worked at the School for the Deaf. And then when I moved to Dallas, I became involved in many volunteer activities. In fact, my children have always referred to me kind of as a professional volunteer. But I feel like I have been deeply blessed, and I feel that it's important to help other people. And it's just a motivation that I've always had. I have spent a big part of my life volunteering, whether it be volunteering in politics, but also volunteering in the community in a number of different areas. I guess the reason that I have always felt a need to help others, I kind of have the credo, to whom much is given, of her is much required. All 3 of these campaigns in the 8 years that we served in Austin, it was truly a partnership. And Bill included me on any of his meetings. I was welcome to attend, and he would listen to my advice. He didn't always take it, but we would discuss the issues together, and it was just a fun partnership. It was one that we thoroughly enjoyed, and of course we still have a fun partnership, but we're doing different things now. For example, both of us have just taken up golf again, and neither one of us have played in about 30 years, but we're having a great time together on the golf course.